Okay, so today we're going to look at the Rugrats family tree and determine a couple possible modes of inheritance for a couple different traits. So the traits we're going to look at is bad vision, which is indicated in characters with glasses, and then stubby noses, which are noses like Tommy has here that are short and stubby. We're going to be looking for 5 modes of inheritance: X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, Autozone dominant, Autozone recessive, as well as Y-linked. So this is just to give you an idea of what the characters look like and what the pedigree chart is going to look like. First, we look at X-linked dominant, and the problem here comes with Julio, who has a recessive mother and a dominant father. So it is impossible for him to be affected by this trait because his mother cannot pass down a dominant X allele. So it's not consistent with X-linked dominant. Next, we'll look at X-linked recessive. Minka here has 2 recessive X alleles, and Boris has 1 dominant X allele, meaning that Dadila could not possibly be affected by this because Boris can only give her a dominant X allele. So this is not consistent. Next, we'll look at Autozone Dominant, which this is consistent if you go through, as well as it is consistent with being Autozone Recessive. And then the last we'll look at is Y-linked, which is easy to look at. Y-linked would mean that the only affected people would be males. And so if you go through, you can see Minka and Dadila, who are both females, are affected. So it is not Y-linked. This is just to recap on the characters before we move on with stubby noses. First, we'll look at Autosomal Dominant. So as you see, Boris and Minka are both unaffected, which means they would have 2 recessive alleles, which would make it impossible for Dadila to be affected, because she would need at least 1 dominant allele that they do not have. So that is not consistent with being autosomal dominant. Then we'll look at autosomal recessive, whereas this is consistent with being inherited by an autosomal recessive trait. So now we'll look at X-linked dominant. And so as you can see, Boris and Minka are both unaffected, meaning they would have the recessive X alleles, which would make it impossible for them to have a daughter that is affected by it, because there are no dominant X alleles for her to be given. So this is inconsistent with being X-linked dominant. Look at X-linked recessive. Boris and Minka would both be unaffected. And once again, the problem lies here with Dadila. She would need 2 recessive X alleles, which Minka could have if she was heterozygous, but Boris does not have because he only has 1 and it has to be dominant. So it is not X-linked recessive. And then we look at Y-linked, which same thing over again. We're going to see if there are any affected females, which there are 5. So that is not consistent with being a Y-linked trait. And this is just to look at all of them together. Bad vision could be autosomal dominant or recessive, and stubby noses could only be autosomal recessive. Thank you.